Golden Retriever mourns at owner's grave every day. Then the caretaker discovers the heartbreaking reason why. The sun peeked over the horizon, casting a warm glow over the rolling hills of the Miller farm in Vermont. Dewdrops clung to the blades of grass, sparkling like diamonds in the morning light. Inside the old farmhouse, a cacophony of sounds announced the start of a new day. The clatter of milk pails, the rooster's crow, and the excited barks of a young golden retriever named Buddy. Buddy, with his soft, golden fur and bright, inquisitive eyes, was a whirlwind of energy. He bounded through the house, his tail wagging furiously, greeting each member of the Miller family with enthusiastic licks and playful nips. He adored the Millers, Farmer Joe with his booming laugh, Martha with her gentle touch, and their two children, 8-year-old Emily and 10-year-old Tom. Buddy was inseparable from the children. He followed them everywhere, to the barn where they collected eggs, to the fields where they helped their father, and to the creek where they spent countless hours splashing and playing. Buddy was their confidant, their playmate, and their furry guardian. Life on the farm was an endless adventure for Buddy. He chased butterflies through the meadows, barked at squirrels scampering up trees, and helped herd the sheep, his instincts kicking in despite his playful nature. He loved the freedom of the open fields, the scent of freshly cut hay, and the warmth of the sun on his fur. One crisp autumn afternoon, as the leaves transformed into a tapestry of red and gold, a sense of unease settled over the farm. Buddy sensed the shift in the atmosphere, the hushed conversations between his human family, the worried frowns that creased their foreheads. He didn't understand the words, but he felt the weight of their concern. That evening, as the family gathered around the dinner table, Buddy noticed an unfamiliar tension in the air. Joe, his voice heavy, announced that they had to make a difficult decision. The farm was struggling, the harvest had been poor, and they could no longer afford to keep Buddy. Buddy's ears perked up, his tail ceasing its usual wagging. He didn't comprehend the meaning of their words, but he sensed the sadness in their voices, the tears welling up in Emily's eyes. He whined softly, nudging Tom's hand with his nose, seeking reassurance. The next morning, Buddy was bundled into the family's old pickup truck. He watched with confusion as the familiar landscape of the farm receded into the distance. He whimpered, his heart heavy with an unknown fear, as they drove towards an unfamiliar destination. The truck rumbled to a stop in front of a large, imposing building with a sign that read, County Animal Shelter. Buddy was led inside, the cold, sterile environment a stark contrast to the warmth and familiarity of the farm. He was placed in a small kennel, surrounded by the sounds of barking and meowing, the cacophony amplifying his anxiety. Buddy spent his days curled up in a corner of his kennel, his playful spirit dimmed, his eyes filled with longing. He missed the open fields, the comforting presence of his human family, the joyful companionship of Emily and Tom. He yearned for the life he once knew, the life that had been abruptly taken away. He watched as other dogs came and went, some finding new homes, others remaining behind those cold metal bars. He hoped, with a fading sense of optimism, that someone would choose him, that he would once again experience the love and warmth of a family. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. Buddy, once a vibrant, playful puppy, became withdrawn and quiet. The shelter staff, though kind, were stretched thin, unable to provide the individual attention he craved. He watched with a pang of envy as other dogs, younger and more energetic, were chosen by families, leaving him behind in his lonely kennel. One dreary afternoon, a glimmer of hope appeared in the form of an elderly man with kind eyes and a gentle demeanor. John, a widower, had been feeling the weight of loneliness since his wife's passing. Seeking companionship, he had decided to visit the shelter, hoping to find a furry friend to fill the void in his life. John walked slowly past rows of kennels, observing the dogs with a thoughtful gaze. His eyes fell upon Buddy, curled up in the corner, his head resting on his paws. Something about the dog's sad eyes and forlorn expression tugged at John's heartstrings. He knelt beside Buddy's kennel, speaking softly, his voice a soothing balm to Buddy's weary soul. Buddy, hesitant at first, slowly approached the bars, sniffing cautiously. John's gentle touch, the warmth in his eyes, rekindled a flicker of hope within Buddy. John spent the rest of the afternoon with Buddy, taking him for a walk in the small, fenced-in area behind the shelter. He learned about Buddy's past, his life on the farm, his love for the outdoors. He saw the spark of joy return to Buddy's eyes as he chased a tennis ball, the old exuberance briefly resurfacing. Leaving the shelter that day, John knew he couldn't leave Buddy behind. He filled out the adoption papers, his heart filled with anticipation. The next day, he returned, leash in hand, ready to give Buddy a new home, a second chance at happiness. Buddy stepped out of the shelter, hesitant at first, unsure of what awaited him. But as he walked beside John, feeling the warmth of the afternoon sun on his fur, smelling the fresh air, a sense of peace settled over him. He looked up at John, his tail giving a tentative wag, a glimmer of trust and hope shining in his eyes. John's home was a small, cozy cottage on the outskirts of town. It was filled with memories of his late wife, photographs adorning the walls, her favorite armchair still in its place. But there was also a sense of emptiness, a silence that echoed through the rooms. Buddy's arrival brought a new energy into the house. He explored every nook and cranny, his tail wagging excitedly. He followed John from room to room, his presence a comforting balm to John's loneliness. John, in turn, showered Buddy with love and attention. He took him for long walks in the park, played fetch in the backyard, and spent evenings reading aloud, Buddy curled up at his feet. He spoke to Buddy about his day, his worries, his memories of his wife, finding solace in the dog's quiet companionship. As the days turned into weeks, the bond between John and Buddy deepened. They became inseparable, each filling the void in the other's life. Buddy, once lost and heartbroken, had found a loving home and a devoted companion. John, once lonely and grieving, had found a source of comfort and unconditional love in the form of a golden retriever with sad eyes and a gentle soul. Life with John was a balm to Buddy's soul. The quiet routine, the predictable rhythm of their days, soothed the anxieties that had plagued him at the shelter. Every morning, they would wake with the sunrise, John brewing a pot of coffee while Buddy stretched and yawned, eager for their morning walk. Their walks were a highlight of Buddy's day. They explored the winding paths of the local park, Buddy sniffing every blade of grass, every interesting scent, while John strolled at a leisurely pace, enjoying the fresh air and the companionship of his furry friend. John would often stop to chat with other dog owners, Buddy patiently waiting by his side, his tail wagging politely. Afternoons were spent in the backyard, Buddy chasing after his favorite tennis ball, his golden fur gleaming in the sunlight. John, seated on the porch swing, would watch with a smile, marveling at Buddy's boundless energy. Sometimes, they would simply lie in the grass, John with a book in hand, Buddy resting his head on John's lap, content in the quiet companionship. Evenings were a time for relaxation. John would settle into his armchair, a fire crackling in the hearth, Buddy curled up at his feet. He would read aloud, his voice a comforting rumble. Buddy's ears perked up, listening intently, though he understood little of the words. The simple act of being together, sharing the quiet intimacy of the evening, filled both with a sense of peace. As the seasons changed, so did their routines. In the summer, they would take dips in the nearby lake, Buddy splashing with joy, his love for water evident. Autumn brought crisp walks through fallen leaves, Buddy bounding through piles of red and gold. Winter evenings were spent indoors, playing games of fetch in the living room, the house filled with laughter and the sound of Buddy's happy barks. Through it all, Buddy's love for John grew stronger. He sensed John's loneliness, the sadness that lingered beneath his gentle smile. He would often rest his head on John's knee, gazing up at him with soulful eyes, offering silent comfort. John, in turn, found solace in Buddy's unwavering loyalty, his unconditional love a constant source of joy. But their peaceful existence was not destined to last. One spring morning, John woke with a persistent cough and a tightness in his chest. He tried to brush it off, attributing it to the change in weather, but Buddy sensed something was amiss. He stayed close to John's side, his eyes filled with concern, his tail wagging hesitantly. As the days passed, John's condition worsened. He grew weaker, his cough more persistent, his breathing labored. Buddy refused to leave his side, sleeping at the foot of his bed, his presence a comforting reassurance. One evening, as John struggled to catch his breath, Buddy whined softly, nudging John's hand with his nose. John, with a weak smile, reached down to stroke Buddy's fur, his touch filled with gratitude and love. "You're a good boy, Buddy," he whispered, his voice hoarse. "The best friend a man could ask for." Buddy licked John's hand, his eyes filled with worry. He sensed the gravity of the situation, the fragility of his beloved companion. He knew with a deep, instinctive understanding that something was terribly wrong. Days turned into a blur, a haze of worry and fear. Buddy watched as John grew weaker, his once vibrant spirit dimming with each passing day. The house, once filled with laughter and the pitter-patter of paws, now echoed with an eerie silence. One night, as a storm raged outside, John's breathing became shallow, his grip on Buddy's fur weakening. Buddy, sensing the inevitability of what was to come, let out a mournful howl, his cry piercing the darkness. In the quiet aftermath of the storm, John passed away, his spirit finally at peace. Buddy, heartbroken and alone, lay beside John's lifeless body, his silent vigil a testament to their unbreakable bond. John's niece, Sarah, arrived a few days later, her heart heavy with grief. She had known her uncle well, and she understood the depth of his love for Buddy. She knew, too, that losing John would be devastating for the loyal dog. Sarah took Buddy in, offering him a new home, a place to heal and recover. But the void left by John was impossible to fill. Buddy missed his friend, his companion, the man who had given him a second chance at life. Despite Sarah's best efforts, Buddy remained withdrawn, his spirit broken. He spent his days wandering the house, searching for signs of John, his tail drooping, his eyes filled with longing. One day, as Sarah was cleaning out John's study, she stumbled upon a box filled with old letters and photographs. Among the memorabilia, she found a framed picture of John and Buddy, their faces filled with love and contentment. Sarah realized that the key to helping Buddy heal was to honor John's memory. She decided to take Buddy on a road trip, visiting places that John and Buddy had loved together. They drove along the coast, the wind whipping through Buddy's fur, the ocean waves crashing against the shore. They visited the park where they had spent countless hours, the familiar scents and sights stirring memories within Buddy. As they traveled, Sarah shared stories about John, his quirks, his passions, his unwavering love for Buddy. She spoke of the joy that Buddy had brought into John's life, the way he had filled the silence with laughter and companionship. Slowly, a glimmer of hope began to return to Buddy's eyes. He started to wag his tail again, to play fetch, to enjoy the simple pleasures of life. He realized that while John was gone, his love would forever live on, a comforting presence in Buddy's heart. The road trip ended, but the healing journey continued. Buddy learned to adapt to his new life with Sarah, finding solace in her kindness and understanding. He never forgot John, but he also learned to cherish the present, to find joy in the small moments, to live in the light of John's memory. And so, Buddy, the golden retriever with the soulful eyes, continued his journey, a testament to the enduring power of love, loss, and the healing touch of time. Life with Sarah was different, but it was good. Her house was bustling with activity, a stark contrast to the quiet solitude of John's cottage. Sarah, a veterinarian, often brought her work home, the house filled with the chirping of rescued birds, the purring of recovering cats, and the occasional whimper of a wounded puppy. Buddy, initially overwhelmed by the constant commotion, gradually adapted to his new environment. He learned to navigate the maze of pet carriers and medical supplies, his tail wagging cautiously as he greeted each new arrival. He found a strange comfort in the presence of other animals, their shared vulnerability creating an unspoken bond. Sarah, observant and compassionate, noticed Buddy's lingering sadness. She understood that he was still grieving for John, the loss a deep wound that needed time to heal. She made a conscious effort to include Buddy in her daily routines, taking him on her morning rounds at the clinic, allowing him to sit in on consultations, his presence a calming influence on her anxious patients. One day, Sarah received a call about an injured dog found abandoned in the woods. The dog, a scruffy terrier mix, was terrified and in pain. Sarah brought him home, setting up a makeshift recovery room in her living room. Buddy, initially wary of the newcomer, was drawn to the terrier's vulnerability. He approached cautiously, sniffing gently, offering a comforting presence. The terrier, sensing Buddy's kindness, leaned into him, seeking solace in his warmth. Over the next few weeks, Buddy became the terrier's guardian angel. He stayed by his side, offering companionship and encouragement. He would gently lick the terrier's wounds, his soft touch a soothing balm. He would nudge him playfully, encouraging him to take his first tentative steps. As the terrier recovered, a playful bond developed between the two dogs. They would chase each other through the house, their barks echoing with joy. They would curl up together, sharing the warmth of their bodies, their companionship a source of comfort for both. Witnessing their bond, Sarah realized that Buddy had found a new purpose. He was no longer just a grieving companion, but a healer, a source of comfort for those in need. He had found a way to channel his own pain into compassion, his own loss into a source of strength. One sunny afternoon, as Buddy and the terrier played in the backyard, a young girl with bright eyes and a shy smile approached the fence. She had been watching the dogs play, her face filled with longing. Sarah, noticing the girl's interest, invited her in. The girl, Emily, introduced herself, her voice barely above a whisper. She confessed her love for dogs, her longing for a companion of her own. Sarah, touched by Emily's sincerity, introduced her to Buddy and the terrier. Emily's eyes lit up as she knelt down, her hand outstretched, her touch gentle and hesitant. Buddy, sensing her kindness, wagged his tail, licking her hand in greeting. Emily spent the rest of the afternoon playing with the dogs, her laughter filling the air. As the sun began to set, she reluctantly said goodbye, her face etched with sadness. The next day, Emily returned, this time with her parents. They had heard about the rescued terrier and had come to offer him a home. Sarah, her heart filled with joy, agreed, knowing that the terrier would be going to a loving family. As Emily and her parents drove away, the terrier nestled comfortably in Emily's lap. Buddy watched from the window, a sense of satisfaction filling his heart. He had helped another lost soul find happiness, just as John had done for him. And so, Buddy continued his journey, his heart filled with love, his spirit renewed. He had found a new purpose, a new family, a new way to honor the memory of his beloved John. He had learned that even in the face of loss, love endures, offering hope, healing, and the promise of new beginnings. The arrival of spring brought a renewed sense of life to Sarah's home. The garden, once barren and dormant, burst forth with vibrant colors, attracting a symphony of birdsong. The days grew longer, the sun's warmth chasing away the lingering chill of winter. Buddy, rejuvenated by the change in season, embraced his role as Sarah's assistant and resident therapist for her animal patients. He had an uncanny ability to sense their anxieties, offering a comforting presence, a warm body to lean against, a gentle nudge of encouragement. One day, a particularly challenging case arrived at the clinic, a majestic bald eagle, its wing injured by a hunter's stray bullet. The eagle, proud and defiant, resisted all attempts at treatment, its fierce eyes filled with fear and mistrust. Sarah, recognizing the eagle's distress, decided to introduce Buddy. She carefully brought Buddy into the treatment room, his presence a calming contrast to the sterile environment. The eagle, initially wary, watched Buddy with intense curiosity. Buddy, sensing the eagle's vulnerability, approached slowly, his tail wagging gently. He sat beside the eagle, his golden fur a stark contrast to the eagle's dark feathers. He offered no comfort, no touch, just a quiet presence, a shared space of vulnerability. The eagle, surprised by Buddy's gentle demeanor, gradually relaxed. It lowered its head, its fierce gaze softening. It allowed Sarah to examine its wing, the treatment proceeding smoothly under Buddy's watchful eye. Over the next few weeks, Buddy became the eagle's unlikely companion. He would sit with the eagle for hours, sharing the silence, offering a sense of peace. He would watch as the eagle exercised its wing, encouraging its recovery with gentle barks of encouragement. The day the eagle was released back into the wild was a bittersweet one. Buddy watched as the magnificent bird soared into the sky. Its wing healed, its spirit restored. He felt a pang of sadness at the parting, but also a deep sense of satisfaction, knowing he had played a part in the eagle's recovery. Buddy's reputation as a healer spread throughout the community. People began bringing their troubled animals to Sarah's clinic, seeking Buddy's unique brand of therapy. He comforted anxious cats, calmed aggressive dogs, and even soothed a distressed horse, his presence a beacon of peace and understanding. One afternoon, a young boy named Ethan arrived at the clinic, his face etched with worry. He carried a small, limp rabbit in his hands, his fur matted, its eyes closed. The rabbit, Ethan explained, had been his beloved pet, but it had fallen ill, refusing to eat or play. Sarah examined the rabbit, her brow furrowed in concern. She suspected an infection, but the rabbit was too weak to undergo surgery. She decided to try medication, but she knew the rabbit's chances were slim. Ethan, heartbroken, refused to leave the rabbit's side. He sat beside its cage, whispering words of comfort, his tears falling onto its soft fur. Buddy, sensing Ethan's despair, approached the cage, his eyes filled with compassion. He sat beside Ethan, offering silent support. He watched as Ethan gently stroked the rabbit, his touch filled with love and concern. Buddy, with a deep understanding of grief, knew that sometimes the greatest comfort was simply the presence of another being, sharing the weight of sorrow. Over the next few days, Ethan and Buddy kept vigil over the rabbit. They took turns feeding it, administering medication, and offering words of encouragement. The rabbit, though weak, seemed to find comfort in their presence, its breathing growing steadier, its eyes occasionally opening to gaze at its devoted caregivers. One morning, as the sun streamed through the clinic window, the rabbit stirred. It lifted its head, its eyes focusing on Ethan. It twitched its nose, its whiskers trembling. Then, to Ethan's delight, it took a tentative hop, its tiny body filled with renewed energy. Ethan's face lit up with joy. He hugged the rabbit, tears of relief streaming down his cheeks. Buddy, watching the scene, felt a warmth spread through his chest. He had witnessed a miracle, a testament to the power of love and hope. The rabbit's recovery was slow, but steady. With Ethan's devoted care and Buddy's unwavering support, it regained its strength, its playful spirit returning. Ethan, his heart filled with gratitude, visited the clinic regularly, bringing treats for Buddy and sharing stories of the rabbit's antics. Buddy, once a lost and grieving soul, had found a new purpose in life. He had become a beacon of hope, a symbol of resilience, a testament to the enduring power of love and compassion. He had learned that even in the face of loss, life could offer new beginnings, new joys, and new opportunities to heal and be healed. Summer arrived in full splendor, casting a golden glow over the town. The days were long and lazy, the air filled with the scent of blooming flowers and freshly cut grass. Buddy, now a seasoned veteran of Sarah's clinic, had become an indispensable part of the team. He was no longer just a therapy dog, but a full-fledged member of the staff, his name proudly displayed on a badge attached to his collar. His days were filled with a variety of tasks. He assisted Sarah with examinations, offering a calming presence to anxious patients. He entertained the waiting room with his gentle antics, his playful demeanor easing the tension. He even accompanied Sarah on house calls, his presence a welcome distraction for those confined to their homes. One sweltering afternoon, Sarah received an urgent call. A local farmer, Mr. Henderson, reported that his prize-winning mare, Belle, had been spooked by a thunderstorm and had become trapped in a ravine. The mare was injured and distressed, and Mr. Henderson feared for her safety. Sarah, grabbing her emergency kit, rushed to the farm, Buddy by her side. They arrived to find a chaotic scene. Mr. Henderson, his face etched with worry, paced nervously beside the ravine. Belle, her leg caught in a tangle of branches, whinnied in pain and fear. Sarah, assessing the situation, realized that Belle's leg was broken. She would need to sedate the mare before attempting to free her. But Belle, agitated and in pain, resisted all attempts at approach. Buddy, sensing the mare's distress, stepped forward. He approached the edge of the ravine, his tail wagging gently. He spoke to Belle in soft, soothing tones, his voice carrying across the chasm. Belle, surprised by Buddy's presence, turned her head. Her eyes, wide with fear, met Buddy's calm gaze. She whinnied softly, her ears twitching, her body trembling. Buddy continued to speak, his voice a calming balm to Belle's frayed nerves. He spoke of his own experiences, of his own fears and anxieties. He spoke of the kindness he had found in humans, of the healing power of compassion.
Belle, listening intently, gradually calmed.
Her breathing slowed, her trembling subsided. She allowed Sarah to approach, to administer the sedative, to gently free her trapped leg. The rescue was a success. Belle, her leg splinted, was transported back to the stable, where she received further treatment. Mr. Henderson, his relief evident, thanked Sarah profusely, his eyes filled with gratitude. But it was Buddy he singled out for special praise. "That dog of yours," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "He's a miracle worker." He calmed Belle down like no human could have. Sarah smiled, her heart swelling with pride. She knew that Buddy's empathy, his ability to connect with animals on a deep level, was a gift he used to heal and to comfort. As the summer drew to a close, a sense of contentment settled over Sarah's home. The clinic was thriving, the animals were flourishing, and Buddy, the once lost and grieving dog, had found his true calling. He was a healer, a companion, a beacon of hope, his presence a reminder that even in the darkest of times, love and compassion could prevail. Autumn arrived, painting the Vermont landscape in vibrant hues of red, orange, and gold. The air grew crisp, a welcome change from the summer's sweltering heat. Buddy, his golden fur blending seamlessly with the fallen leaves, reveled in the cool weather, his energy renewed. He continued his work at the clinic, his reputation as a miracle worker growing with each passing day. Farmers, pet owners, even the local animal control officer sought his help in calming distressed animals, his presence a soothing balm in times of crisis. One chilly November morning, a call came in that would test Buddy's abilities like never before. A young wolf, separated from its pack, had been found wandering the outskirts of town, its leg caught in a steel trap. The wolf, terrified and in pain, was deemed a danger to the community, and the authorities were considering euthanasia. Sarah, horrified by the prospect, volunteered to try and help. She knew it was a long shot, but she couldn't bear the thought of the wolf losing its life. She gathered her equipment, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and determination, and headed towards the site where the wolf had been cornered. Buddy, sensing the gravity of the situation, stayed close by her side. They arrived to find a tense scene. Police officers had cordoned off the area, their faces grim, their hands hovering near their holsters. The wolf, trapped and cornered, snarled and snapped, its eyes wild with fear and pain. Sarah, approaching cautiously, assessed the situation. The trap had mangled the wolf's leg, causing significant damage. She knew she would need to sedate the wolf before attempting to free it, but the animal's aggression made it a dangerous task. She looked at Buddy, her eyes pleading for his help. Buddy, understanding the unspoken request, stepped forward. He approached the wolf slowly, his movements deliberate, his tail wagging gently. He spoke to the wolf in soft, low tones, his voice a calming rumble in the tense silence. The wolf, surprised by Buddy's approach, paused its snarling. It watched Buddy with wary eyes, its body tense, ready to attack. Buddy continued to speak, his voice carrying across the clearing. He spoke of pain, of fear, of the shared vulnerability of all living creatures. He spoke of the kindness he had experienced, of the healing touch of compassion. He spoke of the possibility of trust, of the chance for a different outcome. The wolf, listening intently, gradually relaxed. Its snarls subsided, its body losing its tension. It watched Buddy with a growing sense of curiosity, its eyes losing their wildness. Sarah, seizing the opportunity, approached the wolf cautiously. She spoke softly, her voice mirroring Buddy's calming tones. She administered the sedative, her hands gentle, her movements deliberate. The wolf, now calm and drowsy, allowed Sarah to examine its leg. The trap was carefully removed, the wound cleaned and bandaged. The wolf, its pain eased, was transported to Sarah's clinic, where it received further treatment. Over the next few weeks, Buddy became the wolf's unlikely companion. He spent hours by its side, offering comfort and reassurance. He watched as the wolf's leg healed, its strength returning. He even played with the wolf, their games a mix of caution and trust. The day the wolf was released back into the wild was a momentous one. Sarah and Buddy watched as the magnificent creature disappeared into the forest, its gait strong, its spirit unbroken. They knew they had saved a life that had been on the brink of extinction. Buddy, the golden retriever with the heart of gold, had once again proven his worth. He had bridged the gap between species, offering compassion and understanding to a creature feared and misunderstood. He had shown that even in the face of aggression and fear, kindness and empathy could prevail. Winter descended upon Vermont, blanketing the landscape in a pristine layer of white. The days grew short, the nights long and cold. The clinic, usually bustling with activity, slowed to a more leisurely pace, the animals seeking shelter from the harsh weather. Buddy, though he loved frolicking in the snow, found himself with more time on his paws. He spent his days curled up by the fireplace, the warmth of the flames chasing away the chill. He would often gaze out the window, watching the snowflakes fall, his thoughts drifting back to his past, to the farm, to John, to the many lives he had touched. One particularly snowy afternoon, Sarah received a visitor. A young woman, her face etched with sadness, stood hesitantly at the clinic door. She introduced herself as Amelia, her voice barely above a whisper. She explained that her grandfather, a resident at the local nursing home, was nearing the end of his life. He had always been an animal lover, and Amelia longed to bring him some comfort in his final days. Sarah, touched by Amelia's request, suggested a visit from Buddy. She knew Buddy had a special gift for connecting with people, for offering solace and companionship. Amelia's face lit up at the suggestion, her eyes filled with gratitude. The next day, Sarah and Buddy made their way to the nursing home. They were led to a small, dimly lit room where an elderly man lay in bed, his face pale, his breathing shallow. Amelia introduced Buddy to her grandfather, her voice trembling with emotion. Buddy, sensing the man's frailty, approached the bed cautiously. He placed his head gently on the man's hand, his soft fur brushing against the wrinkled skin. The man, his eyes fluttering open, looked at Buddy with a flicker of recognition. A faint smile spread across his face, his hand reaching out to stroke Buddy's head. He whispered something, his voice too weak to be heard, but his eyes spoke volumes. They spoke of love, of gratitude, of a life well lived. Buddy stayed by the man's side for the rest of the afternoon. He lay quietly on the bed, his presence a comforting warmth. He listened as Amelia read aloud from her grandfather's favorite book. His ears perked up, his eyes filled with understanding. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the room, the man's breathing grew shallower. Buddy, sensing the approaching end, nudged the man's hand gently, his eyes filled with compassion. The man took his last breath, his face peaceful, his hand resting on Buddy's head. Amelia, her heart breaking, thanked Buddy for his presence, her tears falling onto his fur. Buddy, his own heart heavy, offered silent comfort. He knew that he had brought peace to a dying man, had eased his passage into the unknown. He had fulfilled his purpose, had honored the legacy of love and compassion that John had instilled in him. Leaving the nursing home that evening, Sarah and Buddy walked in silence, the snow crunching beneath their feet. The sky was clear, the stars shining brightly. Sarah looked at Buddy, her eyes filled with admiration. "You were amazing today, Buddy," she said, her voice soft. "You brought comfort to a man in his final moments. You made a difference." Buddy, looking up at Sarah, wagged his tail, his eyes reflecting the starlight. He knew he had done something good, something meaningful. He had lived up to the legacy of his beloved John, had spread love and compassion wherever he went. And so, as winter tightened its grip on Vermont, Buddy, the golden retriever with the heart of gold, continued his journey, a beacon of hope, a symbol of love, a testament to the enduring power of kindness and empathy. He had found his purpose, had fulfilled his destiny, had become a legend in his own right. Spring arrived, bringing with it a sense of renewal and hope. The snow melted, revealing the vibrant green of new life pushing through the thawing earth. The days grew longer, the sun's warmth chasing away the lingering chill of winter. Buddy, rejuvenated by the change in season, embraced the warmer weather with his usual enthusiasm. He spent his days exploring the fields and forests surrounding Sarah's home, his senses alive to the sights, sounds, and smells of the reawakening world. One sunny afternoon, while on a walk with Sarah, Buddy noticed a commotion in the distance. A group of children had gathered around a small, whimpering creature huddled beneath a bush. Curiosity piqued. Buddy pulled Sarah towards the gathering, his tail wagging excitedly. As they drew closer, Sarah gasped. The creature, a tiny, shivering kitten, was clearly injured. Its leg was bent at an unnatural angle, and its eyes were filled with fear and pain. The children, unsure of what to do, looked on with a mix of concern and helplessness. Sarah, ever the compassionate veterinarian, knelt beside the kitten, her gentle touch calming its trembling. She examined the injured leg, her brow furrowed in concentration. It was a clean break, she determined, but would require immediate attention. Buddy, sensing the kitten's distress, sat beside Sarah, offering silent support. He watched as Sarah carefully scooped up the tiny creature, its soft fur brushing against her hand. The kitten, comforted by Sarah's touch, let out a soft purr, its eyes closing in trust. Back at the clinic, Sarah worked her magic, setting the kitten's leg and bandaging it with expert care. The kitten, now resting comfortably in a warm, padded basket, looked up at Sarah with gratitude, its tiny purr filling the room. Buddy, appointed as the kitten's guardian, took his duties seriously. He stayed by the kitten's side, offering warmth and companionship. He watched over it as it slept, his protective instincts kicking in. He even entertained it with gentle nudges and playful licks, eliciting soft meows and playful swats in return. Over the next few weeks, Buddy and the kitten became inseparable. They played together, napped together, and explored the clinic together, their unlikely friendship a source of joy and amusement for everyone who witnessed it. The kitten, named Hope by the children who had found her, thrived under Buddy's care. Her leg healed quickly, and her playful spirit returned with a vengeance. She chased after Buddy's tail, climbed his back, and pounced on his paws, her antics filling the clinic with laughter. One day, a young couple, their faces filled with longing, visited the clinic. They had heard about Hope, the rescued kitten, and had come hoping to offer her a loving home. Sarah, her heart warmed by their genuine affection, agreed, knowing that Hope would be going to a good place. As the couple left the clinic, Hope nestled comfortably in the woman's arms. Buddy watched from the window, a bittersweet feeling in his heart. He would miss his little friend, but he knew that she was going to a place where she would be loved and cherished. And so, as spring blossomed into summer, Buddy continued his journey, his heart filled with love and compassion. He had touched countless lives, human and animal alike, his presence a beacon of hope and healing. He had become a legend, a symbol of kindness and empathy, his story a testament to the enduring power of love. Summer arrived, bringing with it a wave of heat and humidity that settled over the town like a warm blanket. The days were long and lazy, the air thick with the scent of blooming flowers and the buzzing of insects. Buddy, now a senior dog, felt the heat more than he used to, but his spirit remained as youthful as ever. He continued his work at the clinic, his presence a comforting constant in the ever-changing flow of patients. He had become a master at reading emotions, sensing the anxieties and fears hidden beneath fur and feathers. He offered comfort to the scared, solace to the grieving, and hope to the hopeless. One sweltering afternoon, a distressed young boy named Alex arrived at the clinic, clutching a small, wooden box close to his chest. Tears streamed down his face, his body racked with sobs. He explained to Sarah that his beloved pet lizard, Sparky, had escaped from his terrarium and was nowhere to be found. Sarah, her heart aching for the distraught boy, offered words of comfort and reassurance. She promised to help Alex search for Sparky, but warned him that the chances of finding the lizard were slim. Sparky, a small, green anole, could be anywhere in the house or even outside in the vast expanse of the surrounding woods. Buddy, sensing Alex's despair, nudged the boy's hand with his nose, offering silent support. He looked up at Sarah with pleading eyes, his tail giving a hopeful wag. Sarah, understanding the unspoken request, nodded her consent, and so the search for Sparky began. Sarah, Alex, and Buddy scoured every corner of the house, leaving no stone unturned. They peered under furniture, behind appliances, and inside closets, their eyes scanning every nook and cranny. Buddy, his nose to the ground, followed Sparky's scent trail, his keen sense of smell leading them through the house and out into the backyard. He sniffed at bushes under rocks and around the base of trees, his determination unwavering. The search continued for hours, the sun beginning its descent towards the horizon. Just as hope began to fade, Buddy let out a bark, his tail wagging excitedly. He had found Sparky, hiding beneath a pile of leaves, his tiny body camouflaged against the brown and green foliage. Alex, his face lighting up with joy, scooped up Sparky, tears of relief streaming down his cheeks. He thanked Buddy profusely, his gratitude overflowing. Buddy, basking in the boy's happiness, wagged his tail, his heart filled with satisfaction. The news of Buddy's latest triumph spread throughout the town, solidifying his status as a local hero. He was no longer just a therapy dog, but a beacon of hope, a symbol of resilience, a testament to the enduring power of love and compassion. As summer waned, giving way to the crisp air of autumn, Buddy's legend continued to grow. He had touched countless lives, human and animal alike, his presence a reminder that even in the face of loss and despair, there was always hope, always love, always the chance for a new beginning. The crisp autumn air swept through Vermont, painting the leaves in vibrant hues of scarlet, gold, and russet. The days grew shorter, the nights longer, and a sense of tranquility settled over the land. Buddy, now a seasoned veteran in his twilight years, felt the changes in his aging body. His once boundless energy had mellowed, his gait a bit slower, his naps a bit longer. Yet, his spirit remained as bright as ever, his heart filled with the same boundless love and compassion. One blustery October afternoon, a new challenge arrived at the clinic. A young, rescued owl, its wing damaged in a collision with a car, was brought in for treatment. The owl, named Athena by the kind woman who found her, was a magnificent creature, her large, golden eyes filled with a mixture of fear and defiance. Sarah, examining Athena's wing, discovered a complex fracture that would require delicate surgery. She knew the procedure was risky, but she was determined to give Athena a fighting chance. However, the owl, traumatized and disoriented, resisted all attempts at handling, her sharp talons and powerful beak a formidable defense. Buddy, sensing Athena's distress, stepped forward. He approached the owl cautiously, his movements slow and deliberate. He sat beside her, his presence a calming influence in the sterile environment of the examination room. Athena, initially wary, watched Buddy with intense curiosity. Her golden eyes, mirroring his own, seemed to soften as she observed his gentle demeanor. Buddy, sensing her vulnerability, spoke to her in soft, soothing tones, his voice a calming rumble in the quiet room. He spoke of his own experiences, of his own fears and anxieties, of the kindness he had found in humans. He spoke of healing, of resilience, of the possibility of a second chance. Athena, listening intently, gradually relaxed. Her feathers settled, her breathing slowed, and her eyes lost some of their wildness. Sarah, seizing the opportunity, gently approached the owl, her touch soft and reassuring. With Buddy by her side, offering silent support, Sarah successfully completed the surgery. Athena, her wing carefully mended, was placed in a quiet, darkened room to recover. Buddy, appointed as her guardian, stayed by her side, his presence a comforting constant in her healing process. He would sit with her for hours, sharing the silence, offering a sense of peace and security. He would watch over her as she slept, his protective instincts kicking in. He would even entertain her with gentle stories and soft songs, his voice a soothing balm to her troubled spirit. As the weeks passed, Athena's wing healed and her strength returned. She began to move around her enclosure, her movements graceful and fluid. She would often perch on Buddy's back, her talons gently gripping his fur, her golden eyes gazing at him with gratitude and affection. The day Athena was released back into the wild was a bittersweet one. Sarah and Buddy watched as she soared into the sky, her wings strong and healed, her spirit free. They knew they had given her a second chance at life, a chance to fly again, to reclaim her place in the natural world. Buddy, his heart filled with a quiet satisfaction, watched Athena disappear into the vast expanse of the sky. He had once again proven his worth, his empathy transcending species, his compassion reaching beyond the boundaries of language and form. As the leaves fell and the days grew shorter, Buddy's legend continued to grow. He was a healer, a companion, a beacon of hope, his presence a reminder that even in the face of adversity, love and compassion could prevail. He was a testament to the enduring power of kindness, a living embodiment of the interconnectedness of all living beings.